Welcome back, my friends, to one of my favorite segments that we do here on the channel, which is the album art tier list. I don't remember which ones we did last time, and I don't remember when I did it, but I remember that it was fun, so we're going to do it again. I asked for your recommendations on Twitter, and you gave them to me. So here it is. I will take them and rank them in this tier list, but you know what I'm going to do? Before we proceed, really quickly, you know what I'm going to do? I am out of control tonight. I'm going to eliminate 2 whole tiers. We don't need 7 tiers, do we? I feel like 5 tiers is plenty. So we're going to be ruthless. We're going to make some decisions here. No waffling around, no fence sitting. D and E tier, it's the same as F tier, right? So let's just get rid of the D and E tier. Just go S, A, B, C, F. There it is. That's it. When did S become the top tier? Because the S is the best. S is the first letter of the alphabet. That's why. The alphabet is S, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, blah, blah. So obviously S tier is the best because S is the first letter of the alphabet. Everybody knows this. Really quick, before we go any further, have you checked out my Patreon? Patrons get early access to all my main channel videos and my podcasts. I also do giveaways sometimes. For example, I just gave away a pair of these Eargasm earplugs. And if you want me to review your music, there's a way to do that as well. All you gotta do is join at the $10 and up level. Then every month I do a call for submissions. If you want me to review something, all you gotta do is drop it in the comments of that post. Then I will review it live on Twitch and post it on Patreon for everyone to see. So if that sounds cool, hit the link in the description of this video, and I appreciate your support. The first one that we will start with is the iconic cover to Blink-182's Dude Ranch, not their first album, but their first like real album, the first good album. Now, the album itself is good but not great, but let's talk about why this album cover is better than the album itself. Look, attention to detail. Like, you ever go to P.F. Chang's? You ever notice that there's something they don't include at P.F. Chang's? You know how outside every P.F. Chang's they have one of these horse statues? You guys ever notice that? If you're like me, the first thing you looked for is, you looked for the horse's ding dong. And unfortunately, I was very disappointed to find that no horse stick. That's the problem. Now, why would you build a horse statue if you're not going to put a wang on it? That's my question. Fortunately, the folks over at the Blink-182 art department fixed that mistake. They put a nice big pair of balls on this bull on the cover of Dude Ranch, and he's saying, why are you looking at my balls? You know, like if you look at a dog when it's pooping and it just gives you that look like, why are you doing this? Please stop. That's the look that this bull is giving us on the cover of Dude Ranch. And without the balls, I would say this album cover's pretty bad. But, thanks to the balls, I would have said this was an F tier. We'll bump it up to a C tier. That's what I think. Bump it up to a C tier. Next, we have the follow-up album to this, Enema of the State by Blink-182. And I would say probably the most iconic pop-punk album cover of all time, featuring the, at the time, very well-known adult entertainer Janine putting on a glove. I don't know what she's about to do with that glove, but I said, whatever it is, mommy, I'm ready. Let's do this. Whatever it is, well, let's do this. And look, she has like 2 tattoos. And back then, that was crazy. It's like, whoa, a pretty girl with tattoos? I've never seen that before. These days, of course, just go to your favorite OnlyFans and you get all the pretty girls with tattoos that you want. But back then, it was rare. Special stuff. Iconic. One of the best pop punk album covers and albums of all time. So, I'm going to put this one in the S tier. Really it says everything about that era of pop punk, right? PPE is important. It's true. We learned this during the pandemic, and Blink-182 trying to spread the message of PPE all along. Next up, we have maybe a controversial album from way back in 1994, I think, Load by Metallica. And I never really thought about this before. I'll make a confession here. I have never actually owned a Metallica album. It's true. I mean, obviously I've heard plenty of Metallica songs and albums, but I've never actually owned a Metallica album. I have also never listened to an entire Metallica album from start to finish. But if you'll remember, this was the album that really, the first album that that Metallica did that everyone just absolutely hated, because this is the album where they went alternative. They went alternative. They got short hair and they wore sunglasses. Everyone said, "Oh, there's trying to be grunge." James Hetfield rocking out in a fur coat and some black flies out in the snow. This is what made everybody hate him. All of a sudden, our thrash heroes cut their hair and wore eyeliner like a bunch of girls. Ugh, as if the Black Album wasn't bad enough. Now you had to sell out with the eyeliner and get alternative. Went from bad to worse. Anyway, the album, not great. Not as bad as some people think, but not great. What I never thought about before is the title of the album and the cover. It's called Load, and it looks like this is like a microscope close-up of some substance, you know, on a glass slide. What is that substance? I don't think I want to know. Makes me think that substance is indeed someone's load, which is kind of gross. You know, honestly, it's better than Dude Ranch. At least it looks like an adult made it. At least it doesn't look like someone made it in their high school graphic design class. So we'll put it on the B tier. Next, we have some truly pioneer shit right here. www.thug.com by Trick Daddy. 90s classic. Look at this. This is when the internet, you know, you got a button down here at the bottom from Trey 6, Society, Jaban, Buddy Road, The Lost Tribe, and Jay Shin. A button for every artist making a guest appearance on this album. Back when people like, I've heard about this internet thing, but I don't know. What's the internet all about, and why would I care? Well, leave it to your man Trick Daddy to explain bringing rap into the internet with this screenshot of the old, this is probably from what, 98, something like that, 96, 98. Screenshot of the old school Netscape browser. I mean, and look at this, the look on his face, the severed head of Trick Daddy floating in the center of www.thug.com. How could we put it anywhere but in the S tier? It's a classic, a modern day classic. Yeah, does he still own the domain? That's a good question. What is thug.com? I hope it's just domain parked. I hope I'm not going to get TOS'd for whatever's Slip and Slide Records. Okay. I wonder if this is, about. I hope this is Trick. This is, wow. Look at that. Okay. So Trick Daddy still, or at least his label, still owns thug.com. Look at that. Wow. I'm amazed. That domain is probably worth a lot of money. You could probably sell that domain for a couple $1,000,000. Shout out to Trick Daddy for still owning thug.com. I'm impressed. How about a blast from the past here? Diary of a Madman by Ozzy Osbourne. And you might look at this now and you might say, oh, this is so corny. What was he thinking? Well, I'll tell you what, this is from like 1983 or something like that. And, you know, looking at it now, a little bit corny. I will say this came out when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I thought this was scary as shit back then. This and Blizzard of Oz. I thought these were scary when I was a little kid. Like this one. This like actually really, I thought this was like freaky shit when I was like, you know, 5 or 6 years old or whatever. So I will say, like, you know, it's goofy, obviously, but I think it's a vibe. I think it's a vibe. A little bit corny, but when it comes to like, you know, that like classic early 80s like heavy metal kind of vibe, I think it's cool. I like it. Obviously kind of corny, but it's a vibe. I mean, this is what every metal revival band is kind of trying to chase, that vibe, like Ghost and stuff. They're all chasing that like satanic panic kind of vibe. I like it. I think it's cool. Next, moving into the 90s, we have Demanufacture by Fear Factory. I see an F and an S. I actually think that this album art is really good, because what I like is, like, not ironically, I think this is really good album art, because what I like is when the album art looks exactly like the music sounds. If you are not familiar with Fear Factory, this is from what, 93, I think, 94? This sounded so fucking futuristic at the time. You've heard stuff like this now, of course, but this shit was so wild back then. Yeah, Terminator core, exactly. Like, this shit sounded like if somebody sent a robot from the future back in time to kill you, that's what it would sound like back in the 90s. And I think that's what the artwork looks like as well. So I'm gonna say I think this is like legitimately really good shit, because it really communicates. You know, you look at this artwork, and that's sort of what you expect the band to sound like, and it does, and like they just work together. So I like it. Perfect example of you know, that synergy, corporate synergy between the music and the artwork. I'm a fan, and I am also a huge fan of Fear Factory. Respect. Put some respect on Dino's name and some respect on Fear Factory. Great band. Great band. They should make a movie about that plot, by the way. If anyone wants to make a movie about that plot that I just came up with about a killer robot going back in time to kill you, feel free to borrow it. I just came up with the idea, but you can borrow it if you want. A trend that I'm a little bit disturbed by, however, is our next candidate. I don't actually know the name of this album, but this one by Necrogoblicon. And so they've got this really nice rendering of a goblin's, you know, like a dissected goblin or whatever here. But the part that I'm really focused on, of course, is right here in the middle. You guys notice this? You guys seeing what I'm seeing here? You guys ever see a goblin dick up close? You ever wonder what a goblin's dick looks like? Yeah, the goblin dong has a fingernail and skulls for testicles. Surprisingly, I have never wondered what a goblin dick looks like. I know that it's hard to believe. You would think that of all people, that I would have put a lot of thought into what a goblin dick looks like. And surprisingly, I haven't. Kind of surprised myself on that one. I was like, Finnegan Jennings Mckenty, are you saying that you have never spent even a single moment wondering what a goblin's dick looked like? And I said, strangely, I haven't. My only objection is that there's not enough detail on the phallus, on the goblin dick. You see, I had to zoom in so far. So concept is great, but not nearly enough detail on the goblin's dick. So I'll put that one in the C tier. I like where they're headed with it, but I mean, you can put a goblin's dick on the cover. You need to give me more detail. For example, this other band, Goblin Cock, they gave us plenty of detail. At first, I was like, oh, it's this Goblin King sitting on his throne. All right. Like, I don't understand. What does this have to do with the Goblin Cock? And then I scrolled down and I said, oh, okay. There it is. That is a goblin's cock, and it's pierced. I'm disappointed that he's circumcised. So for that reason, I appreciate the attention to detail, but I don't want to buy an album by a circumcised goblin cock. I want an uncut, natural, raw dog goblin cock. So if you're going to give me some goblin cock, give it to me uncut. Damn it. That's all I'm asking. Next up, I think you're going to like this one. Follow the Leader by Korn from, what is this from, 98, 99? You know what I did not know until very recently is that this album cover is actually by Todd McFarlane, the creator of Image Comics and the guy that basically redefined 90s comics. They put him on Spider-Man in like 89 or 90 or something like that, and let's see. This was like his first big cover, which totally changed the way that comics looked. This is when comics went from being like sort of corny and old school to being like all edgy and spiky and detailed and shit like that. Yeah, and Venom. I'm not really a big comic book guy, although I'm wondering, can we zoom in on Spider-Man's taint here? Computer, enhance. Not enough detail on Spider-Man's taint. That's my issue with this cover. In any case, it turns out that, yeah, he did this album cover, and I think it's cool. I think it's awesome that they got him to do it. He also directed the video. Iconic cover. I'm going to put this on the S tier as well. That's what I think. Moving over to answer a question, one of the most common complaints I get from my European viewers is, why do you always talk about American music? All you do is talk about American bands. You know, there are many great bands from my country. Why do you not talk about great bands from my country? And so, okay, fine. Fine. You want me to talk about European music? Fine, I'll do it. Here it is. The Phantom Agony by Epica. Shout out to whoever did this Photoshop masterpiece. I mean, Look at this. You guys aren't going to believe this, but I'm pretty sure that snake is photoshopped. Hard to believe, isn't it? But I don't think that snake was actually on her. Something tells me it's not real. Although I do like, it being mid-tier European symphonic metal, you got to make sure that there's boobies on the cover, because is it really symphonic metal without some boobies on the cover? No, it's not. And that's how we know that this is real metal, because front and center, we got the boobies and a snake. But, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to put this down there with Goblin Cock. Sorry, guys. It's on there with Goblin Cock. Just for the bad Photoshop. That is what Europe is like, yes. When you go to Europe, everywhere you go, you see that. You see just girls with their boobies out with a snake wrapped around their shoulders everywhere you go. All right, next up, we have Lateralis by Tool. I'll be honest with you. I have never actually listened to this album, and I never will. I will never listen to it, ever. I'll be honest with you. But the artwork, it is kind of cool, isn't it? It's pretty cool. It sets the vibe of what Tool is, which is kind of a mediocre, not that cool, not that interesting band. But when people listen to this band, the cover of this album is what they think is happening in their mind. They think that they're taking like a DMT trip to the center of the universe where their third eye opens and, they have a conversation with God. And it's like, bro, dude, it's an experience. It's not just an album. It's an experience, bro. Just like, you got to do it, man. Smoke a big fat bong load, put it on, just listen to it on headphones, man. I'm telling you, it's just going to like change your shit, man. Going to change your shit about everything. This is what the average Tool fan, when they look in the mirror, this is what they see. So I would say the band itself, kind of mid, but the album, pretty good. I'll put it in the B tier. Up there with Load. Tool and Load, you like that? I think it works. Excellent sports metal band. Our forefathers of sports metal? Yeah, sports metal adjacent. Another legendary sports metal band and album, Around the Fur by Deftones. Every time I look at this album cover, it makes me think of this. The feel like pure shit, just want her back meme. Poor kid. I wonder if he ever got her back. I hope he did. I hope that she saw this snap and she said, what have I done to this poor guy? He needs me in this time of grief and desperation. Maybe I'll take him back. It should be a Midwest emo cover. Yes. But that's what I think. Every time I look at this album cover, I just think of the feel like pure shit, just want her back kid. And I also wondered what happened to this girl. And it turns out somebody tracked her down. This is her. This is what the cover girl, Lisa Hughes, looks like 20 years later. So this is her then, and this is her now. So if you ever wondered what happened to the girl from Around the Fur, now you know. And you guys know my feelings on the Deftones. Not a huge fan. I would say a little bit overrated. The fans are definitely punishing. You guys are all looking over here, right? You sickos, you're looking over here. Guess where I'm looking? Guess where I'm looking? I'm looking over here. Computer, enhance. Everyone is wondering what happened to the girl on the cover. I'm wondering what happened to the foot guy on the cover of Deftones. That's what I'm wondering. Real fans need to know. So, I don't know. I would say, as much as I'm not a huge fan of the band, I do think it's objectively a really good cover. Objectively a classic. That's what I think. Speaking of album covers with girls on them, how about your girl, Charli XCX, How I'm Feeling Right Now? I feel like this is one of the most recognizable covers of the last few years. Who doesn't recognize this cover? Here's what I want to know. How many Fantano fans have jerked it to this album cover? That's what I want to know. It's not a small number. That's what I think. Again, all you creeps, you sickos, you're looking over here. Guess where I'm looking, boys? Guess where I'm looking? Right there. Welcome to Thursday. When I do stuff like this, I always wonder how many people that only know like my main channel videos come to the stream and they're like, okay, maybe he's gonna give me a history lesson on some obscure like early 2000s metalcore band. No. I came to one of his streams. All he talked about was Goblin Dick's feet and Charli XCX's armpits. I don't know. I hope you got what you came for. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, it's too early to call this a classic cover because it's only a couple years old. I'll put it on the A tier, but only for the armpits. So we got feet and we got armpits. So I'll put it on the A tier just for that. How about, you guys know Viper? Yule Cowards Don't Even Smoke Crack by Viper. You guys know this? The legend. I want to say this guy has like 350 albums. He releases like a new album every week for years and years and years and years. Let's check out his music. They want to see me gone because of my hops. I guess he's talking about his basketball skill. This is art, people. Ballos never sweat. Does he have his belly button pierced? That's the best thing about Viper. Look at this. He has a belly button piercing. I like it. Like he's a hot college girl, but he's like a 50-year-old rapper. Respect to Viper for getting his belly button pierced. What a legend. Iconic. I mean, if we're going to put Trick Daddy in the S tier, this man is more than just a rapper. He's a human meme. If Trick Daddy goes in the S tier, then you got to put your man Viper in the S tier as well. That's what I think. How about this? Taking it back to the 80s, a band that is not European, but should be. Manowar. The greatest hits of Manowar, the upstate New York power metal legends. Look at this. Joey DeMaio, just powerful right there. Powerful. His little leather bikini briefs. It's not even a thong. It's leather bikini briefs, which is even more weird. And they're kind of loose fitting. That's what's unsettling about this to me. It's not like a bodybuilder, like, you know, tight, like posing trunks. It's like weirdly loose, like women's leather bikini bottom or something. It's really strange. Then we've got Ross the Boss here in his like snakeskin pants with his cowboy boots. And then I forget the singer's name. But I like this guy. No pants. Just his little Speedo and some elaborate boots here. No pants in between. I like it. Kind of got a pro wrestler kind of look. This fellow over here, he's like, I just like to watch. Don't mind me. So where do we put this one? I mean, gotta say, my only disappointment is there's no feet. But other than that, I'd put it on the A tier. If there was more feet. They're teasing us. No feet. No armpits. I'm disappointed, but still a classic. Just, you know, just I feel like I'm being blue-balled. That's all. How about this guy? A band that's known for high-quality execution in everything they do. 6 Feet Under, Bringer of Blood. I don't know what they had in mind with this one, but when someone asks you, what does the Bringer of Blood look like? I don't think you would say this. It's a skull, but it looks kind of like half confused, half sad. It just sort of, it looks a bit lost and lonely. This monster heard the music on the album and he was like, oh no, oh no, I have to be on this album. Oh, I was hoping I could be on a better album. Oh, poor guy. Why is his eye like that? Hey, don't judge. Come on. He's doing the best he can. But even so, not quite enough to save it. I'm going to put it down here on the F tier with Goblin Cock and Epica. That does it for this installment of the album art tier list. I hope that the TOS gods are smiling on us and let me get away with the Necrogoblicon and Goblin Cock album art. All I know is that I am happy that there are not one, but 2 albums with drawings of goblin wieners on them so we can compare them. Because, you know, that's what we do here on this stream, on this channel. Talk about wieners. We focus on what's important, wieners, and how we draw them. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, join us next time for the next installment of the album art tier list. And in the meantime, thank you for joining us.